I do it for the girls and the gays, that's it. Hey all, and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin, and today I'm gonna go over my 6 tips for how to watch horror if you hate being scared. I am incredibly baby when it comes to scary visual media, but I still love a good story, and sometimes I want to watch these horrors for the plot and not for the spook. I also love consuming them because horror lately has been giving us a lot of ladies loving ladies leads. The Haunting of Bly Manor, Ratched, The Haunting of Hill House. All of these have lesbian leads. It was like luring me into my worst nightmare with the promise of representation. If you want to consume stories like this without being scared, it is possible for some of them. The reason that I don't watch horror is both because it tends to give me nightmares and also because it makes me incredibly paranoid. Some stories, like The Grudge, have given me moments that I will freak out over for years down the line. I really wanted to watch these vintage lesbians, but I did not want to traumatize myself and have to look over my shoulder for weeks looking for ghost murderers. So let's get into the tips so that all of you horror babies can enjoy this new brand of horror for the gays. At the end, I will talk about my experience with each of the 3 horrors I tested these tips on and how it went. Tip number 1, spoil it for yourself. Spoilers will set you free. Some people hate spoilers, and if that's you, then I cannot help you with this tip. But I personally love spoilers. When something is spoiled for me, I find that I appreciate a lot of the story crafting that leads up to that event. And I also notice small details that I would otherwise not pay any attention to. If you're worried about having too many things spoiled by articles or discussion videos, you can always find a friend who has seen this particular piece of media and ask them to spoil the things that they find the scariest. Spoiling does a few things to help make horror more bearable. First, learning the motivations can help defang various spooky elements. Maybe that creepy ghost child is just trying to protect someone. Maybe the tragic backstory of a ghost makes it more sympathetic and less terrifying. Maybe various motivations change things and twist the meanings of what happens. Second, knowing when key scary moments are going to happen allows you to either emotionally prepare for them or to skip them entirely. Sometimes the music will give away when something scary is about to happen, but not always. If you spoil when various murders or ghost appearances happen, then that gives you a chance to be prepared. Third, knowing key plot points can drain some of the tension. While this wouldn't necessarily be a perk for a lot of people, for me, I don't mind it at all. If I'm not worried about specific things, then I can simply enjoy the story. Tip number 2, watch during the day or watch with all of the lights on. This might be a no-brainer, but just in case it's not, I'm saying it anyways. Watching these things earlier in the day during broad daylight gives your brain a chance to process it differently than if you are watching it at night. Human brains are naturally more tuned to various threats at nighttime. So if you want to downplay your natural response to these things, then you need to watch them during the day. Also, if you have a terrible memory like I do about many things, then watching them early allows me to forget a lot of stuff by the time bedtime rolls around. Tip number 3, embrace glare. If you can't see it, it can't hurt you. That's exactly our logic when we hide under the blankets as children. And it's also my motto for scary movies. I turn on my desk lamp when I watch spooky things, and I direct it at the screen so that it will blur out about 1/3 of things. This lets me ignore the presence of a lot of background ghosts, spooky faces, or those subtle little details that herald the arrival of something terrifying. Using this method, if a ghost is not front and center on the screen, I'm not gonna see them. It alleviates a lot of tension while I watch, but it does not prevent me from consuming the story. Now, this probably wouldn't work for movies like Midsummer, where everything is very bright and the glare cannot protect you. But if you're watching the usual style that embraces low lighting and nighttime scenes, then this tip will help a lot. Number 4, watch at a lower volume. A lot of jump scares are reliant on sound. I watch horror movies on half volume and I'm pretty much ready to mute at any time. The lower volume can also help reduce tension. You're more likely to miss those spooky whispers or footsteps and other quiet hints that make the hair raise on the back of your neck. Tip number 5, do something else while you're watching. If you're not giving a horror your full attention, you are much more protected from jump scares. I'll read random things that don't require a lot of brain power, but it still diverts my attention. It's a bit similar to hiding under the blankets while I'm watching because it keeps me sort of half focused on something much brighter. It basically allows the darkness of this piece of media to flow over me, but without the same strength. Also, If the camera starts focusing on anything in particular for more than a couple seconds, that is a good time to look away. Tip number 6, take a break. Run away off to that kitchen and bake a cake. Seriously, taking a break when you feel stressed by horror is a great way to calm down. You just need to decompress. Make a snack, do a couple chores, look at some cute animals, anything to force your brain off of focusing on the horror. When you're more relaxed, you can get back to it. Remember that there is absolutely nothing wrong with consuming something in 10-minute bursts. And there is no set time in which you need to finish a piece of media, so take your time if you need to. That's all my tips. Let's talk about how they worked. The first piece of media that I used these tips on was The Haunting of Bly Manor, which I highly recommend if you have not seen it already. I was able to binge it in a couple days, loved the story, and I did not ruin my sleep or make myself paranoid. It's sort of like a medium-low scary as far as horror goes, or at least that's how I experienced it. The tip that helped me the most with Bly was probably spoiling everything, because learning all of those motivations and what was actually going on made it so much more interesting, and I could really focus on the story. I also 100% used my desk lamp. It protected me from all of the background ghosts. The Haunting of Hill House was significantly more difficult for me to get through. I have still not finished watching it. I am doing that take a break tip right now. I almost gave up on it after the first episode, and funnily enough, it wasn't the show itself that got me. It was the spoilers, because one of the articles where I was looking this up had a picture of Nell's face when she goes all scary, and that was fused in my brain, and the combination of knowing what that face was and the sound that it made, despite me not seeing it in the show, was just more than my little brain could handle at that time. But I did go back to it after talking to some other people who had watched it. It is much scarier than Bly, but I am so far gotten through 6 episodes of it. It did make me a little paranoid, and I had to get Snow to guard me while I showered so that I didn't become ghost murdered. But I haven't had any nightmares, and for the most part, I'm doing good. And then I attempted Ratched, which is set a lot more in daytiminess, so the glare could not save me. I actually got a little bit bored with it and have not continued. I originally tapped out of the first episode after just a few minutes because of the extremely graphic murders, and I just don't enjoy gore, and I was not willing to sit through it. Gore is different than horror to me. Like, I won't enjoy a slasher fic or anything where we see people brutally murdered. It's just not something that I want to watch. I hope some of these tips were helpful. They're all basically about breaking your immersion, and some people want to experience every single hair-raising moment. I am not one of those people, and if you also want to watch these movies without being absolutely terrified and being sleepless forever, then I hope that these will help. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to be notified as soon as I upload, then ring that bell. All my social media links will be in the description below, and you can check out the first 3 chapters of all of my books on my website, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye! I don't know if you can hear this, but she's full on snoring.